Now then guys, how are we doing? Thank you for joining me on another rebuild. My name's Craig and today we're going to rebuild Aston Villa. Now Aston Villa, obviously Jack Grealish going to Manchester City, so he will be moving on. The £100 million will be in the bank before the summer transfer window, and we're going to see what we can do with it. Now, we're not going to have the players that have already joined in real life, like Emi Buendia and players like that. They're not going to be with us. I'm going to make my own decisions on trying to build the club. So Aston Villa haven't actually won a major cup, well, a domestic cup, since 1996. So they've been to a couple of finals quite recently at the end of 2020, but this time round, we're going to see. The aim of the game, realistically, is to get some kind of domestic trophy. Are we going to win the league? That'd be lovely if you could win it in 5 years. But the powerhouses in the Premier League, are going to be difficult to overturn. But definitely get ourselves consistently into Europe in the last 2-3 seasons. And then looking at getting that domestic trophy. That is the aim anyway. So with £100 million to spend, we should really be pushing for top 6 this season. Might be a bit ambitious. But what we're going to do is we're going to give it a bloody good go. And hopefully, like I say, in the first couple of seasons, I don't lose my job, because there will be a high expectation. But before we start talking about the Aston Villa squad and the finances and whatnot, if you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. It would mean a lot. And if you are a regular sub that comes and checks out my videos, thank you very much for your continued support. So yes, let's get into spending this £100 million. Right then guys, so here we go, day one, and as is usual with these rebuilds that I do, we have simulated forward to the end of the 2021 season that we're now starting as we would be in the current season, and we have got 5 years to completely rebuild Aston Villa. Now Aston Villa are not a bad side at all, by no means. My brother's actually an Aston Villa fan, so he'll love me saying that they're a relatively decent team. In my opinion, definitely the biggest team in Birmingham. Now I'm sure I'll get some thumbs down and hates on that. But, they're the most consistent Birmingham club in there. Birmingham City, where have they been? And West Brom, up and down every single season. So Aston Villa, it's about making them one of the biggest clubs in England. So finances wise then, we've got £147 million in the bank. Original budget was £47 million. Obviously we're getting the £100 million from Jack Grealish, whose transfer I think goes through tomorrow. Wage budget wise, we've got £103 million, and we're currently spending £101 million. Overall balance is £8.5 million. Not ideal, but they have spent the majority of the season in the red, so the fact that we're in the black is great. So for the income then, last season we made £11 million on gate receipts and £11 million on season tickets. And then TV revenue, £82 million, and that was just for the Premier League. Income last season was a total of £174 million. When we look at the outset, so first thing we can see, his expenditure was £135 million last season, so that is good to start with. We're bringing in more than we're spending. Player wages was £52 million. And transfer expenditure was £22 million. So they were the two biggest outgoings anyway. Projection wise, they're expecting to be a couple of seasons in and be in the red by £15 million. We'll make sure that doesn't happen. And total wage cost is around about the same. We'll be spending about £87 million. Wowzers. Transfer budget should be up to £176 million, but we're going to spend a lot of that money in the first season. Looking at the club vision, and so what do the club want out of me? They want me to play attacking football, sign players under the age of 23. That's always a divisive one, as, I want stability in the club. I'll bring in under 23s, but I certainly won't be going under 20s, realistically, unless they're going to fit straight into the first team, because by the time I leave after 5 years, all these 18-year-olds are basically just going to be breaking into the first team. So, yeah, I want established players to start with. They want us to play entertaining football, and they want us to develop players using only the youth club system. So that entertaining football does worry us, as I always want to play a 4-4-2 this season, so I might have to look at that. 5-year plan then is to sign players to sell for a profit. Obviously free transfers will certainly help us out there. Work within the wage budget and a minimum 3-year contracts for the first team. The end of this season they want us to avoid a relegation battle. Here's me aiming for Europe. We need to get into Europe as quick as. And at the end of the following season my contract expires and they want us to continue being an established Premier League team. We're doing that. We're aiming top 7 at least. If we can get into the Europa League 2, that'd be absolutely fantastic in the first season. For the club info then, club captain is obviously Jack Grealish and he's on his way. And hot prospect is Chukwuemeka. I'm hoping I've pronounced that right and I haven't absolutely butchered his name. Villa Park is the stadium and we've got a total capacity of just over 42,000, so I'm happy with that. Apparently training facilities are 4.5 star and new facilities are 3.5 star. So to confirm that transfer going out then, Jack Grealish joins tomorrow, the 9th of June, for £100 million off to Manchester City. Love that. So looking at the squad dynamics then, we bring the new manager in. Team cohesion is currently very good. Club atmosphere is average and managerial support is average as well. The recent form at the end of the season was absolutely shocking with 4 defeats out of 5. And Jed Steer feels like it's time to move on for a new challenge. So he's my goalkeeper, isn't he, or one of them. So yes, we may look at moving him on. As far as top influencers go then, I've got one player that supports us and that's Tom Eaton, very handy. But nobody opposes, nobody's really against me joining the club, which is a good start. Looking at the squad then, what's the average age of our squad like? So you've got Tom Heaton, who's 35, Neil Taylor, 32, Kalinic, who's 31, Conor Hourihane, who is 30. So we've got quite a decent age squad when we look at it. You know, average age is around about 26. Who's our best earner? Jack Grealish on 120k. He's 50 grand more than John McGinn, so he'll be going on anyway. We'll be saving that in a transfer kit, but I would imagine he's currently our best player as well. Yeah. With Morgan Sanson, our second best player at the club. What's he like? He's okay. Doesn't really set the world alight, does he? 26-year-old French, under 21 or was under 21 international. Looking at the squad depth and the team report overall then, so, you know, I was thinking about a 4-4-2, the Ashman 4-4-2, which we'll discuss shortly. So, for me, you know, centre midfield, we look all right. Out on the left-hand side, we're fine. Out on the right-hand side is okay. I'm not overly happy with the striking options. Obviously, Watkins up there, potentially Wesley. No, it reminds me of Jolinton, really. Wesley's a bit of a flop. Out on the left-hand side, Target, and then Konza on the right-hand side is a good player. In the centre of my defence is all right with Mings and Konza. Hauser already up there as well. And then in goal, Emi Martinez, Tom Heaton, Jed Steer. You know, Emi Martinez probably my number one, really. Really good goalkeeper. Stats don't really show it there. And tactics then, what we're going to fit in tactically-wise. Like I said, I was going to play Ashman 4-4-2 as a control possession on a positive mentality. Now, obviously, everyone's on holiday, so I'm not really going to set anybody up as the squad goes. We'll do that before the first season. But yeah, we've got a lot to do. As in the season just gone, we finished 11, 45 points on the board, but we did see that we had an absolute shocking end to the season. 4 defeats out of the last 5 games. Last thing I want to do is I want to have a look at the staff, because this is something I've noticed, that like the staff setups and the ability of the staff is shocking. So when we look at the scouting especially, we haven't got a very good scouting team, I'll be honest. Like, our best scout is Steve Simmons with 16 judging player ability and 13 judging player potential. So not ideal at all there. Obviously, he's our best one as well. So we need to look on improving our scouting, because with other rebuilds that I've done, I've had really poor scouts, and everybody we scout is apparently a 5-star player, which makes it extremely difficult to get the right player in. So like I say, we're going to go with the finances, £147 million. We're going to look at spending it. Probably not in its entirety, but we'll give it a good go. And we'll come back at the start of the first season to introduce you to the new players, the ins and outs, and then talk about our plan for season 1. Right then, guys, so we're back at the start of the first season, and we've spent some money. We've spent some serious dollar in this summer transfer windows. We've completely rebuilt the squad. The Jack Grealish sale has helped us out massively. You know, we've been able to have a little bit of a clear out on top of that, but we've brought in a lot of players. So let's get through them first. So financially then, you can see that we've got £23 million in the transfer budget. Wage budget, we've got 1.4 million. And we're currently spending 1.3 million on it. But I've ruined the overall balance a little bit. Currently minus £41 million in debt. But it was well worth it. You know, we're going to get ourselves out of trouble. Hopefully, you know, I am planning on a top 7 finish, at least European football at the end of this. Unless this is going to be an absolute catastrophe. It's the only time that I've really pushed finances in any of the rebuilds. Normally I like to play it safe, and I'm all about regenerating the money, which in fairness, with the players that we've bought a lot of players that are really, really good, and we haven't spent a lot of money on them. So worst case scenario, we'll have a fire sale next summer and we'll get ourselves out of trouble that way. But obviously, just to confirm that Jack Grealish did go to Manchester City, £100 million he went for. You know, what more would you say? £100 million, you just wouldn't reject that anyway. You know, I know he is Mr. Villa, but for £100 million he was always going to go. Samata also goes, so he didn't actually play for us last season. He was out on loan at Fenerbahce. He scored 18 goals in 36 games, and they bought him for 5.5 million. That was pre-agreed, so we let him go. Courtney Hawes, we let him go, 26-year-old Englishman, 5.75 million after we bought him for £3 million from Wolves. So he's gone off to Bournemouth. He was average at best. He might have been a solid squad player, but I wanted more than that. Bjorn Engels went off to Galatasaray, so we let him go for 3.6 million. We actually spent £7 million on him. That's mental. But he was out on loan last season at Rennes, and yeah, 3.6 million. Centre back, He was okay. Again, would have been in and around the squad, but wouldn't have played too much and basically would have sucked up wages. And Frederick Gilbert went off to Rennes, so he was a fairly good player. He was not happy with us because I left him out of the pre-season's friendlies, and Rennes come in with a £7 million offer and I let him go. He was out on loan at Strasbourg last season. He played the season before and he played 25 games, but yeah, I've got better options now in those wide areas, especially on the left and right defensively. So coming in then, the first player that we've brought in is Felix Arare. Now, he is a youngster. He's come straight into the first team. His current ability is 2-star, potential ability 4.5-star. Now, I did need to bring in some youth as well as experience, naturally. He's an exciting young prospect who isn't far from first team level. And attributes-wise for the position that I want him in, heading, marking, tackling, all good. Tackling 17, marking could be a little bit better. Strength needs working on, and we'll get some training routines set for that. But we got him on a free transfer from Frankfurt, so for me, he played 2 games in the Bundesliga last season as well, so we've brought him in. He's in the first team. We may not see anything of him this season, but he's certainly one for the future. We then brought in Abdallah Simmer, who's an attacking right midfielder. Now, I am going to shoot a formation I'm wanting to play after this, but he's a very, very good player. He comes highly scouted anyway. So current ability 3-star, potential ability 5-star. Dribbling, finishing, heading, that's all really good. Physical's incredible with acceleration and pace very high. Natural fitness and jump and reach 16. We bought him for 7.5 million. Yes, Slavia Prague got an absolute bargain for getting him for 100k. But yeah, we picked him up for 7.5 million. Last season he played 25 games, 5 goals, 5 assists, and 3 player of the match performances is, for me, 7.5 million for a player that's now valued 14.75 anyway. Is a very good deal. He's fully capped by Senegal as well, so we've got a full international with us. We then brought in Johnny from Wolves, so another fully capped player with 3 caps for Spain. 27-year-old, so now one of our older players. Current ability 3-star, potential ability 3.5-star, so he's almost playing to his full potential. But he is versatile and he can play both left and right. He's weak left-footed, very strong right foot. His media description is an attacking full-back. For me, I've brought him in to play on that right-hand side. We got him for £11 million. Wolves transfer listed him. He played 17 games from last season. Didn't exactly set the world alight, but I'm happy with what we've brought in there. Now valued at 18.25 million as well. We also brought in Viktor Kononenko. Now, 22-year-old Ukrainian. I would imagine by the end of this season he'll be fully capped as well. Already got 6 caps for under 21s. Current ability 3-star, potential ability 4-star. Will play out on that left-hand side. We're going to drop him a bit deeper. We're probably not going to play the wing-back. We'll go for the full-back. Already a very all-rounded player, finishing 8, flair and leadership, both 6. Not overly bothered about that. Stamina 17, work rate 17, so he's going to work hard for the team. We bought him in for 13.5 million after he played 12 games for Shakhtar last season, and he's already valued at £80 million, so another decent bit of business there. One of the more experienced players to come in then at the back to play centre-back was Michael Keane, 28-year-old English international. Centre-back, we know that. Current ability 3-star, he's playing to his full potential, but the stats that you want for a defender, heading, marking, tackling, all very good. Strength is decent as well. Valued at 16.75 million, and we got him for 13.5. Now, he is one of the highest earners at the club on 70k per week, but he's a very good partner to Mings. And I've brought in another centre-back, so we're going to have a very good rotation of the 3 centres. Now, we've brought in another older player, Callum Wilson, but this guy on FM21 is an absolute cheat code. So, current ability is 3.5-star. He's playing to his full potential. Valued at £19 million already. This guy scores goals for fun. He scored 12 goals last season for Newcastle. They bought him for £20 million, and we paid £18 million. Now, it helps that Newcastle got relegated last season, so they were having a bit of a fire sale themselves, and we managed to pick him up for £18 million. Valued at £19 million, an important player in his prime years. Yeah, and he scored 4 goals in 2 pre-season games. We then bought in Boubakary Samare, so he's coming in as a central midfielder, 22-year-old, French under-21 international, current ability 3-star, potential ability 4-star, currently valued at 12.25 million, say 22, 6'2", in the middle of the park, going for 6.25 million from Lille, where he played 24 games last season, 4 goals, 1 assist as well. Now, we've strengthened in the goalkeeping department with Alvaro Fernandez. Not a player I've ever heard of, but he got like a 95 scout rating. Now, we have obviously improved our scouts as well, so I do trust that scout rating now. But yeah, he comes in valued at £21 million. Current ability 4-star, potential ability 4.5-star. Probably going to be my number 1. I would hope that's the way it goes. 23-year-old. Obviously, he's got a dislodge Martinez, but we paid £22.5 million for him. He didn't have a great season at Huesca last season, where he got 38 starts, 59 conceded though. But Huesca, you know, they're not the most defensively solid team. So I'm just going to rule out last season's performance and hopefully he becomes the number one. Now we've gone back to Newcastle United and took Alan Saint-Maximin. What a player this guy is. Yes, sometimes he can be unplayable and sometimes it can be a liability. You never know what you're going to get from him. He's very erratic, but he scores goals. And from what I know on Football Manager, big teams come in for him if he performs in the league. You know, this guy could be going for 60, 70 million further on down the line. So we've brought him in. He's now valued at 30 million. Current ability 3.5 star. Potential ability 4.5 star. You know, dribbling, first touch, acceleration, pace. You know, he's got all the skills, hasn't he? £20 million. What a bargain. And then lastly, Marcos Sensi. Now, this guy I actually thought I was going to lose. Leipzig come in with a better offer. 75k per week, that's what we're paying. Current ability 3.5 star, and he's almost playing to his full potential. Now, heading, marking, tackling, all very good. Strength decent as well, as we continue to work on our 24-year-old. Played 27 against the Feyenoord last season. We paid £90 million for him. Like I say, it's quite a bit of money. But if those defensive attributes continue to improve, you know, he could be worth 40, 50 million further down the line. So that is all our transfer business done anyway. I don't intend to spend any more. Obviously, like I said, put ourselves in a little bit of a financial predicament. However, I think we'll be able to get ourselves out of trouble, getting into Europe and potentially selling players on if we need to at the end of the season. Dynamics-wise, with those players coming in then, team cohesion's good, club atmosphere is very good, and managerial support's good as well. As far as top influencers go then, so team leader Tyrone Mings supporters, that's the big thing. As Mings and McGinn are my two team leaders. I've got no players that oppose us, 12 players that support us, and 14 players that have no real opinion of us. As far as squad depth goes then, Callum Wilson is by far the best striker at the club. I expected that anyway. With Saint-Maximin, the best player, out on both wing sides. So we're going to play a 4-2-4. That's the way I'm going with it. In the middle of the park, we look good with Sanson and Douglas Luiz. Out on the left-hand side, we've got Target. Out on the right-hand side, we've got Concert. We've also obviously got Johnny and Croningen as well. And in the middle, we've got Mings, Concert, Sensei and Keane. And in goal also, you can see Fernandez is the best player at the club. So I think we've had a very good transfer window there, if I'm completely honest. When we look at the squad overall, yes, we've still got some older players in there. Ability-wise, you know, it's mixed, but we've got some really, really good players. We've also got some youngsters in there as well. We've got a good mix of age. We've got from a 19-year-old to Tom Heaton, who's 35. Obviously, he's the only player above 30 now. So for me, we're in a very good place. As far as the wages goes, Sensi is the top earner with 75k. That's good considering what Jack Grealish was on. And the highest valued player is Saint-Maximin, £30 million. So very good overall. For the season preview then, we're expected to finish in 14th place. Not ideal, if I'm going to be honest. 200 to 1 to win the league. We realistically want to be getting into the top 7. That's where I want to be, as I think the 7th place gets that Europa League 2 place. So that's what we're going for. And tactics-wise, then I say we're going 4-2-4. We're going to play a tick-attack. Now, this is a tactic that I use in my Let's Play save. It's the 4-2-4 that I'm using with Hart. But in goal, we're probably going to go with Fernandez, Kononenko, Sensei, Mings and Johnny at the back, with McGinn and Douglas Luiz in the middle. Saint-Maximin and Seema out wide, with Watkins and Wilson up front. Now, we're absolutely stacked in every position. We really are. I think we've got very good squad depth. Am I going to have some unhappy players at the end of the first season? Probably. But hopefully we've added some value to those players and we can get them sold on if they aren't a part of our future. So that's it then, guys. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the end of the first season, simulate forward. Hopefully, like I say, we're in the top 7 and we've got European football next season. Right then, guys, so we're back. And as you can see, we finished in Champions League places. So first season down, we've got into the top 4. Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham finished 5th, 6th and 7th. You know, so we're wedged in between Manchester United and Chelsea. Absolutely massive. 76 points on the board. When we have a look, if Liverpool hadn't been as dominant, you know, 103 points they managed. They lost one game all season. Who did they lose to? Lost to Man United 3-0. So if they hadn't been so dominant, it would have been a lot closer. We're 2 points off second spot. Can you imagine if we'd finished second? That is an overachievement finishing 4th. Let's not mince about. But when you spent £140 million basically on transfers, then a top 4 finish probably is the right thing there. Like I said, I would have took any kind of European place. Realistically, that Tottenham place in 7th would have been ideal, because I reckon we could have won the Europa League 2. But we get Champions League football, and that is some serious income. And it helps us obviously progress as a team and bring in some real quality players as well. So that's what we're after. So Liverpool finished in top spot, like I say. They won 33 games, drew 4. But ourselves, we played 38 games, won 22, drew 10, lost 6. 10 draws in there, 76 points on the board, goal difference. We scored 81 goals, conceded 39, which isn't bad. 39 goals, just over a goal a game, literally just over a goal a game. And goal difference plus 42. When we're looking at the finances then, we're back in the black, and it'll be the league position that's got us there. So we've got 17 million in the balance, transfer budget's 50 million, and we're still spending just under 200,000 on the wage budget. So looking at the past positions then, we were all over the place at the start of the season, but that is to be expected as everyone's packed together. We ended up in the middle of the season, match day 22, losing 1-0 to Wolverhampton. Then we pushed our way up and we ended up finishing in 4th place. We were sat around 5th, basically from match day 29 anyway. So that's not bad going at all. And I'm assuming Liverpool were just sat, they were sat top since match day 2. So there you go, nobody touched them. So squad dynamics wise and team cohesion is very good. Club atmosphere is good and managerial support is excellent. Martinez wants to start more games, he wants to leave. I think that's fair. You know, what did we pay for him? 19.5 million. He played 1 game this season. So I think it might be time to move him on. Top influencers, then everybody supports me apart from Wesley. Wesley, I'll be surprised if he's played a game. Wesley played 2 games and they were both substitute appearances in the league anyway. And 1 substitute appearance in the Carabao Cup. He scored 1 goal. Shocking. So Wesley, what did we pay for him as well? We paid 22.5 million. I don't think we'll recoup that back, if I'm honest. He's worth 7.25 million. It might be time to go. He's been capped by Brazil. What on earth? So yes, the team cohesion is very good in the hierarchy. Like I say, plenty of players supporting us. So when we look at the player stats, then Callum Wilson, like I said, absolute cheat code, scored 29 goals this season. St. Maximin with a 7.33 rate, and he had the highest average rating out of everyone. And most assists was St. Maximin again with 21. Best pass completion was Sensi with 94%, and most player of the match awards goes to St. Maximin with 7. Team stats wise, then we scored 81 goals, which is the 2nd best. We conceded 39, which is the 4th best. We had 41 yellow cards, which is 6th best, and we got 1 red card. So overall, and I'd say that's a very good season. That's not a bad finish at all, 4th place, which means we get the Champions League next season. So what we're going to do then is we're going to try and rebuild for Champions League. I say rebuild. We've got a quality team already. When we have a quick look, just before we move on, at the value of the players. So St. Maximin's now worth 34 million. Ollie Watkins up to 32.5. He got 12 goals this season, so that's not bad going either. But Callum Wilson out there on 29. Love that. So yeah, what we're going to do then, guys, like I say, is we're going to bring in some more quality, I think, for a push in the Champions League. It'll be interesting to see if we can get out the group stage. So yeah, let's skip forward to Season 2. Right then, guys, so we're now back for the start of Season 2. 30th July, we've got our first game against Watford in the league, and hopefully we've strengthened the squad even further to take on these big clubs in the Champions League. When we look at the finances, we've still got £20 million in the transfer budget. We've got 50k still to spend in the wages. That's not going to happen. And we're £39 million in the red again. That's quite a similar position to where we were last season. As we started the season, we were minus 38 million. We're now minus 39. Profit and loss for this month is minus 53 million. And this season, we've thrown away £44 million, which isn't ideal. But as we've tried to balance the books, we've let some players go. So the first player to go was Wesley. And we let him go for 5.25 million. This guy, for me, was never going to be a player that suited the way I wanted to play. Yes, he could have played as one of my front two, but with Callum Wilson coming in, I think that Wesley's time was up with the club. So yes, he has gone to Union Berlin. El Ghazi has gone off to West Ham. Now, he's a decent player, but he went out on loan last season. He went to Reims on loan and played 12 games, 4 goals. So, like I say, he's a decent player. He just didn't fit in. Again, we had better options out on the left and right hand side. So we let him go for a total of £12 million, which I think is a decent deal. Emi Martinez then went off to Dynamo Moscow. We let him go for £6 million after we spent £19.5 million on him. He only played 1 game last season. Obviously, with Hernandez coming in, we really upgraded our goalkeeping options. So we went. And then the last player to leave was Marvelous Nakamba. Decent player again, stats-wise, but he just doesn't fit into what I'm after. We spent 10.75 million on him from Club Rouge, and we sold it for 5.25 million to Las Palmas. He played 8 games for us last season. Like I say, he's a good player, but we've just got better options in the midfield, and he's just going to sit there and basically claim 30 grand a week, so we let him go. First player in then is Marcus Antonio, so we brought him in to sit in the midfield. Current ability 4.5 stars, playing to his full potential, almost a 5-star player. His media description is a hard worker midfielder. 22-year-old being capped twice by Brazil. We're paying him 55k a week and he's valued at 28 million. We spent 17.5 million on him from Shakhtar. Now, we only played 12 games last season. 2 goals, 3 assists, 3 player of the match performances though. So a quarter of the games he played, he got player of the match for. 7.77 rating. And he's a very good player. Mentally, he's awesome. Vision, work rate, off the ball decisions, anticipation, all very good. Technique, 17. Physically in good shape. His strength is 9. Could get muscled off the ball. That would be my one concern. But overall, a really good addition to the centre in midfield. Next player in then is 20-year-old Brazilian, Thales Magno. Now, he's a wonder kid and we've brought him in. He can play out on both sides. With El Ghazi going, I thought we needed to strengthen there, so we've brought him in. Crossing and dribbling, 11 and 16. Technique, 16. Flair, 17. Obviously, he's got a bit of that Brazilian flair, but current ability is 3.5 star. Potential ability, 5 star. Currently valued at 27 million, and we bought him for 15.5 million from Vasco. So I'm very happy with that deal. He played half a season for them before we bought him and had 12 starts and 8 goals. So not bad going at all. We then spent £20 million on Denis Popov, so Ukrainian with 19 caps, 23-year-old, heading 16, marking 14, tackling 15. A bit of work to do there, but mentally incredible. And he's got a bit of pace and acceleration about him as well, with 16 acceleration, 15 pace. Now, current ability is 3.5 star, potential ability 4 star. He's a commanding centre-back, valued at 33.5 million. Like I say, we spent £20 million on him. 25 against the Dynamo Kiev last season, 7.24 rating. And he's going to be a solid member of the team and somebody that I would imagine will have through the entire rebuild now. And then the last player in is a backup goalkeeper, fringe player in his prime years, Matthew with 1T Ryan. Yeah, that's who's come in. We needed a backup goalkeeper, and he's valued at 1.4 million. He's not very good, 900k. He's conceded 35 goals last season in 18 games, which, yeah, isn't great. But I tried to get Gazaniga in, who was on a free transfer. I couldn't get a work permit, so I just went out and spent a little bit of money on Matt Ryan. So, yes, he is with us, 30-year-old, 73 caps for Australia, but doesn't look good when you look at it there. Dynamics-wise then, team cohesion is good, club atmosphere is very good, and Maggio support is very good. And one player is unhappy, that's Alvaro Fernandez, my goalkeeper, wanted to join Tottenham. I wanted 70 million, they wanted to pay 30. It's not happening. And then, when we look at the top influences, I've got 2 players that now don't have any real opinion of us. So Douglas Luiz and Davis don't really have any opinion, which I'm not overly bothered about. 22 of my player supporters include Norman Newbies. Squad depth is still looking strong. Callum Wilson, the best striker at the club. Alan Saint-Maximin, best player on both sides. But Thales Magno is very good as well. In the centre and in midfield, Max Antonio's there. With Douglas Luiz, John McGinn, Sanson, Enzo Konsa as well if we wanted to do that. Out on the left-hand side, we've got Johnny and Kornienko with Target and Mings. And on the right-hand side, we've got Konsa, Johnny, Matty Cash there. In the middle of my defence, we've got Sensi, Popov, Konsa, Keane, Mings. Very, very good centre-back options. And then in goal, we've got Fernandez and Matt Ryan. So I'm happy with how that looks. Tactically then, with that squad depth, how do we line up? So we've got Fernandez in goal, Kornienko, Sensi, Mings and Cash out wide, with Sanson and Marcus Antonio in the middle, Saint-Maximin and Magno outside, and then Watkins and Wilson. That is a real quality team to push on this season. And on the bench, you know, players outside of that, we've got Douglas Luiz, Seamer, Johnny McGinn, Traore, Trezeguet, Keane, Target, Sumare, Popov. Some very, very good options there. When we look at the schedule, then we start off with games against Watford, Norwich, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United. Wowzer. Those final 3 games are the first 5. Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, that is a challenge. So realistically, I'd like 9 points out of a possible 15. That would be a good start for us. And from the season preview then, they expect us to have a 7th place finish. So that's a massive improvement on last season. We've got a player in the Media Dream 11 as well. There we go, Marcus Antonio in the midfield with Jack Grealish, De Bruyne and Sterling. So let's just have a quick look at Grealish. How did he get on last season? So he played 23 games for City, 3 goals, 5 assists, a 7.02 rating, £100 million. Absolutely crazy money. Right, so there we go then, guys. So we're about to start the second season. Will we finish in the top 4 again? And how will we get on in the Champions League? So we're going to simulate forward for another season. And we'll come back at the end of our second one and see how we got in the Champions League, and we'll see if Liverpool just dominated the Premier League again. Right then, guys, so the end of Season 2, and it looks like we may have peaked too early as we ended up finishing 6th place, 1 point behind Southampton. Yeah, not ideal. We're still at European football, I suppose that's the positive. Not Champions League football this time, but we will be playing in the Europa League too, apparently it says there. Leeds got relegated and still finished in the Europa League. Oh no. So we might have an opportunity at European Silverware next season. As like I say, we finished in 6th place, 38 games played, 21 wins, 5 draws, 12 losses. A lot of defeats there. As we had 89 goals, 53 conceded, a goal difference of plus 36, which is still exceptional when you look at the teams below us. Arsenal with a plus 7 goal difference there. 68 points on the board, 8 points clear of Arsenal, 1 point behind Southampton. Oh dear. When we look at the club finances, then we've got £60 million in the transfer budget, 1.6 million wage budget, we're currently spending 1.5, and overall balance is 29 million. So we've ended the season in the black again. That's a good place to be. Squad dynamics wise, then team cohesion is very good, club atmosphere is good, and managerial support is excellent. Trezeguet, Matty Cash and Michael Keane all want to leave to start new games, and Callum Wilson wants a new deal. We'll have to have a look at that. As far as the top influencers go then, does anybody oppose us? No. Tales Mango still has no real opinion of us, but everybody else is supporting us. When we look at competitions wise then, we ended up finishing 6th in the Premier League. We were knocked out in the group stage in the Champions League, knocked out in the 3rd round by Manchester City in the FA Cup. That's a tough draw. And then in the Carabao Cup we were knocked out in the 4th round by Notts Forest. That is poor. So let's have a quick look at the schedule and see how it went. Obviously we had plenty of defeats. So this group then, look at that for a group of death. Jeez Louise. PSG, Barcelona, Roma and ourselves, and then we ended up finishing bottom of the group. I'm not surprised, if I'm completely honest, that we went out there. We did win a game, though. Who did we win against? 2-0 against Roma, so we did get at least one win there. But yeah, when we're looking at these results, we've had some absolute shockers. We lost in the last game of the season to Southampton 4-2 as well, and that's a team that finished above us. So if we'd won that one, we'd have finished in 5th spot. Not ideal at all. So when we're looking at the play stats, and Callum Wilson got 46 goals last season. What an absolute boss. He's a tank, isn't he? He's a real tank. Goal machine. His highest average rating was Callum Wilson again with 7.42. Most assists was St Maximin with 15. Best pass completion was Senesi. I think I've been calling him Sensi. Senesi with 95%. Most player of the match awards was Callum Wilson with 13. That's a good effort, that. Team stats wise then, we scored 89 goals, which is the 3rd best, but we conceded 53. That's the 7th best. 75 yellow cards and 4 red cards. 4 red cards this season. So European football again, and that's the big thing. We've got to aim for European football every time, but no domestic cups as of yet, and we haven't got anywhere near a final. You know, we lost in the FA Cup 3rd round. This time, you know, Manchester City was a tough draw, and then the Carabao Cup we lost to Nottingham Forest. I think Nottingham Forest finished bottom of the league. They did with 22 points, and we lost to them. So there we go then, guys. That is the end of season number 2. We're going to move on forward to season number 3, get some more transfers in maybe. I think we've got a decent enough team. I think we just need to look at the tactic. Maybe we are too attacking. Maybe we're too unbalanced. We win a lot of games, but we're starting to lose games now as well. Maybe we've lost that bit of balance, like I say. So what we're going to do is we're going to move forward to the start of season 3. I'm going to tinker a little bit with the squad, and hopefully we've got enough to push on next season. Right then, guys, so we're back for the start of Season 3. Now, we are 1 game into the season, so I was still trying to get some of those deals over the line. You can see that we're top of the league after everyone's played 1 game. Callum Wilson with a hat-trick on the first day of the season. As I'm just going to show you that we beat Bournemouth 4-0, so a very good start indeed. Wilson with a hat-trick, like I say, and Tyrone Mings on 28 minutes. Great start to the season, that. But then we start to look at the finances, and not so great, as again we open up the season in the red. Minus 13 million this time round. 2.65 million in the transfer budget. We got 1.6 million wage budget, and we're literally just spending under that now. The big thing is, though, financially we're only allowed 35% of our available transfer revenue, and that is a problem when I'm trying to bring players in. But players have been leaving. Matthew Targett went for nothing to Seattle. Now, he was a player that was a fringe player since I've taken over. Played 4 games for us last season. 7 rating overall out of 4 games isn't too bad. But yeah, he's gone off to Seattle Sounders on a free transfer. We then let Traore go. He's gone to Shakhtar Donetsk. Now, he played a lot of games for us last season, 24 games. He's been a constant starter since I took over. 24 games last season, 3 goals, 7 assists, a 6.81 rating, £9 million they put a bid in for, £1 million with add-ons. And I let him go. He wasn't going to feature as much this season, so I just thought we'll take the money while we can. Johnny went off to Ajax. He wasn't happy at the club. 2.5-star player as he's rated now, 29-year-old. You know, he's at the back end of his career. We sold him to Ajax for 7.75 million after we paid 11 million. 21 games for his last season, but like I say, he weren't too happy. He wanted a bigger contract, and I didn't want to give it to him. We then let Michael Keane go to Tottenham, so the 30-year-old now. We managed to recoup a bit of the money. It's 5.75 million with a couple of million add-ons. but we're not going to get that yet anyway. We spent 13.5 million on him. He didn't play a game for us last season. That was why we moved him on. Starter in the first season, 25 games, 6.94 rating. Don't get me wrong, he's in his prime years, but I just wanted to move him on because we've bought better players in. And then the biggest transfer deal and for us was Senesi going to Milan. Now, he went for massive money. £57 million they paid for him after we spent 24 million on him. He was a constant starter, probably the best player at the club. But the offer was just too good to refuse. At the time of me selling him, I didn't realise it reduced my transfer budget to 35%. Obviously, that's schoolboy error there. He's an elite centre-back, but that kind of money, you don't get them offers very often. So we had to work on replacing him. We brought in Filip Benkovic. Now, he is not the same. Naturally, he's not the same. He's 26-year-old, capped once by Croatia. He was originally at Leicester, and he went off to Lazio for 16.75 million. Played 21 games last season, 1 player of the match performance, and a 7.13 overall average rating, which is decent. We bought him for £15 million. Now, we'll drop into the centre-back anyway. We've obviously got Popov, Mings, and Benkovic, who can rotate, and I'm happy with that setup. Lucas Kloisterman was another player to come in who can play across the back four. Now, we brought him in. He's 27-year-old, A caps for Germany, current ability 3-star. He's playing to his full potential as well. £23 million we paid for him after Hoffenheim spent 7.25 million on him last season. Yes, you could look at it as though, is he better than Johnny? I think he is. Physically, he's awesome. Really, really good player. He's a decent technically and mentally as well. For the money, I think we've probably paid top end for somebody like Kloisterman. But it's a good deal for me because we've got him for the next 2-3 years, potentially to the end of the rebuild now as well. And then somebody that will be with us until the end of the rebuild is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Unless a £100 million offer comes in for this guy, he will be staying with us till the end. I wanted someone in the long term that was going to replace Callum Wilson, and I think this guy's the one. Now, Calvert-Lewin, I would say, is a proper Aston Villa kind of player. Not necessarily the way that we're playing on FM, but he would suit a Villa style of play, I think. Valued at 45.5 million, currently playing to his full potential. 26-year-old, 3 caps for England, 3 goals. Not bad at all. We spent big money on him, 39.5 million. He did play 36 games for Everton last season, scored 12 times, 6 assists and 4 player of the match performances. Not the best average rating, but obviously strikers, they're rated on the goals, so we need goals out of him this season. We've also got Ollie Watkins who can play up top as well, naturally. So we've got Calvert-Lewin, Ollie Watkins and Callum Wilson who hopefully can score loads of goals. Because goals haven't really been a problem. Defensively, we haven't been sound enough. But then tactically, we are playing an attacking formation as we're playing at 4-2-4. What a team this is. So we're probably going to set up like this. With Fernandes, Kloisterman, Benkovic, Popov and Konsa at the back. With McGinn and Antonio in the middle. Talis Magda and St. Maximum in the middle. And Calvert-Lewin and Wilson up top. We have brought some of the youngsters in. So Louis Barry is one of Villa's best prospects. He's now in the first team. I don't know if we'll see too much of him, but we've promoted him. And Philogene Badais has joined us from the youth team as well. 21-year-old, can play out on that left-hand side, so he has come through as well. So we've got 2 more youngsters promoted. We've also got players like Seema, who have been on the fringes. We bought him when I first took over, 7.5 million. Played 16 games last season, 5 assists, so I'd expect to see more out of him this season as well. But yeah, Calvert-Lewin, the bigger spend of the summer. Squad dynamics wise then, team cohesion is very good, club atmosphere is excellent and managerial support is very good. Players asking to leave, Matty Cash wants to start more games, he's not leaving, and St. Maximum is disappointed I wouldn't let him join Arsenal. Like I said when I bought him, it's got to be a £70 million offer unless I'm not interested. When we look at the hierarchy then, I've got no players that oppose us, that's the big thing, 17 players that support us. And from the season preview, I reckon we're going to finish in 8th place. We're going for a top 4. Are we going to be strong enough? Not quite sure. But Liverpool's team now is absolutely incredible. With Alisson in goal, Alaba, Van Dijk, Alexander-Arnold at the back. In the midfield, they've got Camavinga. They got him on a free transfer because I tried to put a cheeky bid on and obviously it never paid off. And Salah and Haaland up front. Haaland up there as well. This team, how are we ever going to break this? I wasn't expecting to win the league anyway, but Liverpool are so dominant. £91 million last season. 36 goals he scored in his first Premier League season. So just before we simulate into the next season then, we're just going to have a look at the club vision. So they're very pleased that we've been signing players under the age of 23. They're pleased that we're selling players for a profit. We're working within the wage budget just about. This season then they expect us to reach the semi-finals, a bare minimum in the Europa Cup 2. That's what I'm aiming for anyway. I'm aiming to at least win it. A top half finish in the Premier League, realistically European places. FA Cup to reach the quarter-final, that's a minimum. And Carabao Cup to reach the quarter-final. We've got to win some kind of silverware. That was the whole point of this rebuild. So what we're going to do then is we're going to simulate forward and hopefully, you know, we've got ourselves into some kind of final, if it be a domestic cup or the European Cup. So fingers crossed then, guys. Hopefully we'll make it happen. Right then, guys, so we're back at the end of season 3, and as you can see, we finished second in the league, 9 points behind Liverpool with 85 points on the board. Not bad going at all. When you look at Manchester United, 6 points behind us, Manchester City 7 points behind us as well. Liverpool are dominating again, but we scored 103 goals this season. Wow, as we conceded 49, which is a hell of a lot if I'm completely honest. 49 goals conceded, that is shocking. Plus 54 goal difference though, as we won 26 games, drew 7, lost 5. 85 points on the board. End of season was quite poor there, as we've lost to Chelsea, drawn with Manchester City, drawn with Everton as well. Looking at the past positions, we were actually top of the league. We were top of the league all the way up until game day 28, and then what happened? We got smashed by Manchester United 5-0, and we ended up dropping down to third, and we never recovered. We were top of the league all the way up until the end of February, so that's not bad going at all. That's disappointing. Where did Liverpool come in then? Yeah, so when we dropped down, they went up into first, and we could never catch them again. There you go then. So we had the opportunity. We had the opportunity to go for the jugular this season, and we didn't take it. Looking at the competitions wise then, we ended up winning the Europa Cup 2, which is what we wanted, and we won the Carabao Cup as well. So 2 cups this season, one of them a domestic cup as well, which is what we wanted. I did expect to get to at least the final in the Europa League 2, which I'm happy with there. Like I said, second place finish in the league as well is massive. Callum Wilson scored 41 goals in the league, 20 goals in the Europa League 2 as well. Calvert-Lewin got 7 goals in the Carabao Cup. Finances wise, then we've got 67 million in the bank. That's not a bad place to be. 77 million in transfer budget, 100% of transfer revenue now available, which is good, and 1.6 million wage budget. Like I said, we're about 100k under that as it stands. So squad dynamics then, after a really good season, his team cohesion is excellent, club atmosphere is good, and Maggio support is excellent. We've got a selection of players that want to leave or want changes. So Morgan Sanson wants to start more games. Suramere wants to leave as well. Popov wants a new deal. And Calvert-Lewin isn't happy. 43 goals this season in all competitions. And he's not happy about the position he's being played in. Can you imagine if he was playing in the correct position? And when we look at the hierarchy then, we've got 18 players as supporters, 2 players that have no real opinion of, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin opposes us. So I've got 1 player that now opposes us, not great. And looking at the player stats, and Callum Wilson scored 70 goals. 70 goals, what an absolute monster. 20 goals in the Europa League 2, 41 goals in the Premier League, 3 goals in the FA Cup, 6 goals in the Carabao Cup as well. 41 goals, that's his high season. That's more than a goal a game. He scored 3 goals more than games played in the league. 41 goals in the Premier League, wowzers. A 7.51 rate and 12 player of match performances as well. So like I say, he had the highest average rate, and most assists was Marcus Antonio with 28. Best pass completion was Denis Popov with 95%, and most player of the match awards was 16 for Calvert-Lewin. We're looking at the most red cards here, and Kornienko got 2. We only got 3 red cards all season, and he got 2 of them. So we scored 103 goals, which is the best in the league. We conceded 49. Now, like I said, that is poor. I think we can see from this the area that we need to strengthen. We need to look at that back 4. So goals conceded were 49. Yellow cards were 71, and red cards were 3. So there we go then, guys. I'm happy with that. Tactically, obviously, we're still playing the same way. Seema, has he really been introduced? He started 12 games in the Premier League, 5 goals and 7 assists in them as well. Right, so yes, what we're going to do then, guys, is we're going to just rebuild. I think we need to tweak that back 4, maybe have a look at strengthening there. Maybe the odd player in front of them as well. But we're going to move forward to the start of the 4th season and see what we can bring in for transfers. Right then, guys, so we're 1 game into our 4th season. We beat Sheffield United 4-0, so we've started off fantastic again. We're currently sat 2nd in the league. Callum Wilson again with a hat-trick. Absolutely loves an opening day hat-trick. But we've done some very, very good business. We've spent a hell of a lot of money. Financially, I hope we haven't crippled us. I think now's the time to really go for it. Now is the time to spend the money. I've probably made 1 error of judgment. That's about it. But we have got some quality transfers to talk about. So like I say, financially I've taken a risk. We've still got £13 million in the bank. For the wage budget then we've got £1.9 million, and we are literally just spending under that. But we're £41 million in the black, and that's the main thing. This season we've made a loss of £28 million now, but I'm confident with the Champions League that we'll pull some of that revenue back. So a transfer that I didn't mention happened in the January transfer last season, so I want to cover this one first. Matty Cash has left us. He went to Southampton for £21.5 million. He only played 4 times for us in the first half of the season. He's a good player, Matty Cash. You know, he was a solid all-round player. We had quite a few of them, but the offer coming, it was a great offer and we needed the funds. We then let Samare go, so he was a player that wasn't happy. We let him go to Dynamo Kiev. Now, we brought him in my first season for 6.25 million, and he was one of those players that I said would probably bring us some value later on down the line. Now, he played 23 games for his last season, was solid in the centre of midfield, but Dynamo Kiev come in with a £33.5 million offer. And like I say, he's a good player and he is going to get better, but for that kind of money, when we could bring somebody better in, I thought we best take it. Now, the one mistake that I've probably made is I've let Alvaro Fernandez, our goalkeeper, leave. He went for very big money to Bayern Munich, £46 million, just over double what we paid for him. Played 38 games his last season, conceded 38 goals. Now, I don't know if he's the problem. He's conceded a fair amount of goals in goal, or just the way that we play. Obviously, we are very attacking, we are very open, we're expansive, and we are going to get caught out. So when the offer come in for 46 million, I thought, yeah, we'll get him in. We'll be able to get a goalkeeper and we've got plenty of time. And that turned out not to be the case, as all the goalkeepers I was after either wanted an astronomical amount of wages. You know, at one point we were looking at Donnarumma and he wanted 300k a week and that went straight away. We were looking at Anana. Again, he wanted far too much money. I even looked at Aaron Ramsdale, who wanted too much money. Transfer fee was decent for him. He wanted £23 million Ramsdale, but yeah, 150 odd K was just never going to happen. So Fernandez went, and it's probably the one area now that we're a lot weaker in. Felix Arare was another one that we brought in right at the start of my campaign. So we brought him in on a free transfer and we sold him to Leipzig for £21.5 million. Now, he was out on loan in the Premier League last season, actually, at Stoke. Played 31 times for them and didn't do a bad job. Now, with the strengthening I've done in the defence, we've brought in some elite centre-backs, which we'll talk through shortly. He was never going to feature now. When the opportunity presented himself for us to sell him, I thought we'd best just get that money. He probably did have a future with us, but I've also brought in some younger centre-backs as well. A player to round about his age as well, and he's even better. And the last guy to go was John McGinn. So when we look at the scout report there, 44 rating out of 100, current ability 2.5 star. He was already coming to the back end of his time with us anyway, so we looked at letting him go, and I put my feelers out to see if any clubs were interested. And Vakashahir out of Turkey come rolling in with a 10.75 million deal. There is add-ons in that, it could go to 13.5. But in fairness, I wanted to give him the opportunity to move on. So McGinn has gone to Turkey. Coming in then is Andre Lunin. So this is the guy that I've tried to use to solve my goalkeeping crisis. Currently 2.5 star, potential 3 star. So a definite downgrade on what we had in there beforehand. He's not the worst goalkeeper we've got. He's better than Matt Ryan anyway. We got him from Real Madrid where he played 4 times last season. 3.5 million. Yeah, with the funds that we had left, I couldn't really get an elite goalkeeper. That may be one for the last season, as we're probably going to have to sort out this goalkeeping situation and address the Callum Wilson puzzle as well, because Callum Wilson, you know, he started off with a hat-trick this season. He can't go on forever, and next season I think he may become a big part player. So yeah, goalkeeper and Wilson are the 2 areas that I need to look at next season now. We brought in Arton Lucas, 27-year-old Brazilian, not fully capped. I wanted somebody who was going to challenge out on that left-hand side, and he certainly can. Crossing and dribbling's big for when we're pushing him forward. Acceleration and pace, he's got plenty of it as well. We bought him for 25 million from Bayern Munich after they spent 7.5 on him last season. He only played 1 game. That was his transfer list fee, so we went with it. £25 million, and he plays out on that left-hand side. So a good addition, a good bit of depth, and he's an important player in his prime years. The next player in then, when I said I was looking at an elite centre-back, was Jules Kounde. So he has joined us and he's incredible. Potential ability 4 star, current ability 3.5 star, so he's almost there. Valued at 58 million and we're going to give him 100k a week. 25-year-old, 12 caps for France, heading, mark and tackling, all above 16. Strength decent, acceleration and pace there as well. We spent £63 million on the guy. I think that's a very good deal considering what we've got there. An elite centre-back for 60 million, I will take that. And joining him in the centre of the pitch then is Goncalo Inacio. So he's another elite centre-back. We got him from PSG. He's not quite there yet. 22-year-old, capped 30 times by Portugal. Potential ability 3.5 star, current ability 3 star. When we look at what we paid for him, 36 million, so a big money move again. But PSG bought him for 41. He played 37 times for them last season, 2 assists and a 7 rating. But my centre-back options now are absolutely incredible. There should be no issues. There's just that goalkeeper behind them. And then, can you believe it? Jack Grealish, Season 4, returns to Aston Villa. So this all come about as I just wanted to see how he was getting on. I was going to update at the start of the season to this guy's progress. And yeah, it didn't work out for him at Manchester City. So we bought him for 22.5 million. less than a quarter of what Manchester City played for him. Now, we only played 9 times last season, so it wasn't looking good for him. And yeah, the opportunity come up. His release clause was 22.5 million and we bought him, so he can still do a job. He's 28 years old. I just cannot believe it. This was the guy that set the wheels in motion for us to have this rebuild. We had 100 million to spend and we spent it wisely, in fairness. Finishing 4th place in our first season and getting Champions League football. But yeah, he's still a really, really good player. So Jack is back. And squad depth, Calvert-Lewin now the best striker at the club. St Maximum the best player out on both sides. Teles Magno though can play there. Stacked with talent in the centre of midfield with Marcus Antonio, Jack Grealish in there. At the back again, we're really, really good. Defender right, we could do a little bit better, but we got Klosterman who can play out there. And in goals, the weak area, you can see my best goalkeeper is 2.5 star. So realistically, then, this is probably how we'll line up this season. With Lunin in goal, Koninenko, Iniatio, Kunde and Klosterman at the back, with Grealish and Marcus Antonio in the middle, Talis Magno with St Maxim out wide, and then Wilson and Calvert-Lewin up front, going to bag the goals this season. And looking at the season preview, then they're expecting us to finish in 5th place this time, 25-1. No players in the Media Dream 11, but that does not surprise us. But we've got a quality squad, and I'm interested to see how we get on in the Champions League and these other competitions, as the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup is still something that we need to push on with. Obviously, we've got the Carabao Cup last season, but the FA Cup and Premier League is the big one this season. Right then, guys, so we're at the end of Season 4, and as you can see, we finished 2nd in the league, 2 points behind Liverpool. What more do we need to do, really? You know, the amount of money I've spent, we should really be pushing on now, as Liverpool finished on 87 points. It was literally the difference between a win and a draw. And we drew for the last game of the season, it looks like, as well. We drew 1-1 with Manchester City and drew 2-2 with Wolves on the last day of the season. Goal difference, so, for Liverpool is by far superior. 28 goals better than us. So even if we had won that game, we'd have lost on goal difference anyway, which I reckon would have been even more disappointing. But we played 38 games, won 26, drew 7, lost 5, scored 74 goals, conceded 34. And a goal difference of plus 40. We finished 5 points clear of Everton, who finished in 3rd place. Manchester City not even making it into the Champions League next season. When we look at the past positions, then there was a couple of weeks where we hit top spot, but from game day, game day 29, we were basically 2nd place all the way through. I'm assuming Liverpool would, they basically sat top from a similar time. So who ended up being top then? So Everton were actually top of the league all the way up until match day 19 when they do 2-2 with Norwich, and then that was it. They ended up finishing in 3rd place. Finances wise then, for the end of this season, we've now got £91 million in the transfer budget. The wage budget's 2.3 million. We're now 300k under that. We've got 120 million in the overall balance, so finally turned it around. Squad dynamics and team cohesion is very good. Club atmosphere is average, as I've got loads of players that want new contracts or want to leave. I've got a couple of players that are unhappy about being fined. And then managerial support is excellent, so we need to sort out those contracts at the start of this season. As far as the hierarchy goes, our team leaders are Callum Wilson, Popov and Mings. Popov has no real opinion of us though. I've got 15 players to support us, and Grealish opposes us. What is Grealish's issue? He's unhappy that the coaching team was not improved. It was a promise apparently when I took him on, so fair enough. Looking at us in competitions then, like I say, we finished 2nd in the league, 2 points behind Liverpool. We were knocked out in the semi-final of the Champions League by Manchester City. In the FA Cup, we were knocked out in the quarter-final by Chelsea, but we won the Carabao Cup again. So we've now got 3 bits of silverware in our rebuild. That's good. I wanted some domestic trophies. And we've won the Carabao Cup now back-to-back, is that right? Just past winners. So yes, we've won it back-to-back. And looking at player stats then, Callum Wilson scored 48 goals, so the older he gets, the better he seems to get, if I'm completely honest. We'll never have a season like he had last season, let's be honest. You know, history-wise, 23 goals this season in the league, 41 the season before. But he's an absolute boss in everything he plays. Like, you know, continentally, he scored 12 goals in 10 appearances in the Champions League. Highest average rating was Wilson as well with a 7.24. Most assists was Jack Grealish with 15. Best pass completion was Iniatio with 96%. And most player of the match awards was Callum Wilson with 12. Looking at the team stats then, goals scored, we scored 74, which was the 3rd best. We conceded 34, which was the 2nd best, so defensively solid this season. Yellow cards, we got 62, which was the 7th worst, and no red cards in the Premier League this season with 0. So for me then, we just need to address 2 issues, don't we? We need to work out what we're going to do with the Callum Wilson situation. Do we give him another season starting? Does he then drop into being a fringe player? What I would suggest with this is that he stays. You know, he's still going to be our number 9. He's still going to be our main outlet. He's still going to be our top scorer, I'd imagine. You know, he's still scoring goals, 48 goals. And how old is he now? It'll be 34 by the time next season ends. So I've got that situation, and then the goalkeeping situation as well. You know, we strengthened defensively and we've only conceded 34 goals. But do we now need to bring in potentially an elite goalkeeper? I don't think we'll get a world-class goalkeeper, but we'll certainly get an elite one. So they're the two areas that we'll probably look at strengthening. So what we're going to do now then is we're going to spend the summer trying to strengthen in those areas. And then we'll come back for our 5th and final season. Right then guys, so we're back for what is our last season and our last transfer window as well. So we've done what we needed to do. I'm happy with what we've brought in. Finances wise, we've got £17 million left in the transfer budget, and we're just spending under our 2.3 million wage budget. We've got 51 million in the overall balance. Financially now, I think we're in a decent place. Yes, we have spent a lot of that transfer budget, but overall balance, at least we're not starting the season in the red. And that's because we've let some of our fringe players go. So Ezri Konsa has gone to Lazio. You know, he was around and about the team. He had 33 starts the season before last. Last season he only got the 10. And when a £20 million offer come in for him, we let him go. Matty Ryan went off to Olympiacos. We literally just brought this guy in to fill a gap. We spent just under £1 million on him, 900k. We sold him to Olympiacos for 2.4, 3 million with add-ons. Yeah, 3 million with add-ons. He played 2 games for us last season, kept 2 clean sheets. So yeah, Matty Ryan's gone to Olympiacos. The biggest transfer out of the club was Lucas Klosterman. Now, a decent player. I said when I brought him in, he wasn't like a standout top performer, but he was somebody that was good enough to be in and around the squad and to feature when required. Now, he did feature quite a bit. He played 32 games for us in the first season, 28 in the second season. We spent £29 million on him, and Hertha paid £40.5 million up front. It's £50 million with add-on. So £50 million for a player that was average when we spent £29 million on him. I'm sure I said at the time that we had probably spent the top end of what I wanted to pay, but I needed to get some quality in there, and he went in. But yeah, Hertha obviously seen even more in him than what I've seen to spend £50 million on him. So when we were trying to get cover for Konza, then we brought in Gonzalo Montiel. A good player for me. Current ability and potential ability doesn't really look that good with 2.5 star on both. He's playing to his full potential. He's got a continental reputation, so he's a good enough player. He's been capped 52 times by Argentina. 28-year-old, so he's a squad player in his prime. His injury is out for 3 to 9 days, but I'm not worried about that. But mentally he's great. Yes, he's a little bit high on the aggression, but that means he's going to get stuck into a challenge. Bravery 16, determination 16, teamwork 16, he'll work hard for the team. Jumping reach isn't great. He's 5'9", but he's playing as a right fullback, so I'm not overly worried about that. We spent £16 million on him. For me, that's a decent deal. He was in and around the Porto squad, didn't feature too much. He again got transfer listed. £16 million for me was a decent offer, but we'll wait and see how he gets on this season. He's a very good bit of depth anyway. We also brought in Brandon Williams, and we got this guy for a cut price. Now, he can play both left and right fullback. That's what I wanted, a little bit more depth there. Technically, it's not great. Crossing and dribbling, okay for what I want going forward. Acceleration pace, he's got bags of it. Mentally, he's decent. Currently a continental reputation fullback. Like I say, current ability 2-star. £9 million we paid for him. He played 19 times last season for Hoffenheim. 15.5 million they spent on him from Man United. I'm happy with that. The team weren't overly impressed with that, I'm going to be honest. The board felt it was quite a poor deal. We are spending 60k per week on him. But again, you know, we've got quite a condensed fixture list this season, which we have for the last couple of seasons with Europe and all the domestic cups that we're playing in, and obviously the league. So we need that kind of depth, because I think that may have been our undoing. Now, is Brandon Williams a starter? No. But if we get players injured who can play out in those areas, then he's the man that we'll go to. Now, we had to address the goalkeeping situation, and we got Aaron Ramsdale in. So, media description, this guy's a world-class goalkeeper. In real life, though, I think Ramsdale's that good now. I think he's overrated for what he is. And Arsenal paying an exceptional amount of money for him is questionable. However, in FM, he's decent. 31 caps for England, 27-year-old. He's in his prime now. £39 million is valid at current ability 4-star, potential ability 4-star. He's got everything I need. That eccentricity does worry me a little bit. However, very good everywhere else. We spent £27.5 million on him. He played 37 games last season for Leicester, conceded 38 goals, 16 clean sheets. So, you know, he's a performer at this level. And I think that has solved the goalkeeping conundrum anyway. But the other conundrum that we need to address was what we're going to do with Callum Wilson. So Callum Wilson is going to still be a striker. Now, we've brought in Pedro, 28-year-old, 16 caps, 6 goals for Brazil. He's a regular starter in his prime, current ability 3-star, and he's playing to that full potential. Now, he's got a worldwide reputation. Is he a world-class striker? No, he's a nomadic striker, because apparently he's been everywhere, which he has. We spent £70 million on him. Big money. 35 games last season, 21 goals for Atletico Madrid. This, for me, is probably my biggest risk transfer. Now, Klosterman, I did overspend for him. This guy we're only going to see for one season. and he needs to get goals, you know, unless he's going to be like an absolute huge flop. I ain't got any worries in that, you know. His first touch is 16, determination off the ball 16, acceleration and pace are good, finishing and composure is 15. If we can get those across this season up to 16s, I'd be buzzing, but he's a very good player, takes the number 19 shirt as well. So dynamics wise then, we've still got players that have got issues. Callum Wilson feels there's a lack of depth at right back. I've brought to in, and that was just because Consa left. St Maximum's been offered a new deal, Antonio has as well, and Benkovic wants to start more games, and that's up to him to prove that. Club atmosphere is very good, Maggio support's very good as well. We've got 13 players that support us and 12 players that have no real opinion of us. I've now got no players that oppose me anyway, so that is decent. When we look at the squad depth then, up front, Tallis Magno is apparently my best striker now, with Calvert-Lewin, Pedro, Ollie Watkins and Wilson. We're still stacked with talent, really. You know, I've got St Maximum, Tallis Magno out on one side, Grealish, St Maximum out on the other. The midfield is top quality, so you've got no worries there. But then on our defensive left-hand side, we've got Kornienko, Ayrton Lewis, Mings, Brandon Williams, and that's the same on the other side. I've got Kanunde can play out there, Montiel, Maffeo and Williams. Maffeo was a player that joined us actually at the middle of last season, £9 million. He come in as a bit of a depth option, not really done a lot, not worth talking about. And then in the centre mid defence, I've got Popov, Kunde, Iñárritu, Benkovic, Mings, plenty of talent there. And then Ramsdale and Lunin. Now Lunin, I tried to move him on. He's now valued at 18.5 million. Didn't want to go. And he's a very good deputy. 38 casts for Ukraine. We spoke about him last season. He didn't actually have a bad season. For us, he conceded 34 goals in 36 appearances. 12 clean sheets as well. So 3.5 million. Looked like a bit of a bargain in the end. So when we look at the possible squad selection for this season, we've got Ramsdale in goal, Kornienko, Iñárritu, Popov and Kunde at the back. You know, probably not Kunde if I'm completely honest, as we have got other options who can play in there. But Montiel is currently injured. We've got Grealish and Marcus Antonio in the middle with Tallis Magno and St Maximum out on the other side, and Calvert-Lewin and Wilson up front. That is still a quality squad. We are still playing that tiki-taka on attacking. 4-2-4. We're going to push it for this last season. We do blow a lot of teams away though. Yes, teams can catch us out, but it's done us fine so far. You know, we've finished in the top 4. Is it now 3 out of the 4 seasons that we've done? We've had Champions League in the majority of the seasons that we've played. We've accomplished what I set out to accomplish. You know, we've won domestic silverware. We've even won European silverware as we got the Europa League. So yes, that's the tactic that we're going to use. That's the squad that's probably going to be played. Wilson would be the one, you know. We may have Pedro who drops up there, who is a direct replacement for him. But we'll see how he pans out this season. So what we're going to do then is we're going to simulate forward for the last season. Fingers crossed, touch wood, we can dethrone Liverpool and give a really good account of ourselves. Maybe go that one step further. We got to the semi-final of the Champions League last season. Can we get to the final? That'd be a bit of a stretch. But this is our last season, so let's go. Right, so we've left it right to the final season to wrap up the league, and it has been an absolute slog, this one. Liverpool have been so dominant all the way through. You know, we started this rebuild a season later, so the current season that we were in, the 21-22 season, and Liverpool had already recruited massively then. But we've managed to cause a major upset by winning the league. Basically, in the final couple of days of the season, we beat Liverpool by 3 points. Goal difference, if it had come down to it, would have been done. You know, at the end of last season, we drew that final game, which would have put us equal on points with Liverpool. Yes, goal difference would have done us, and it would have probably done us again this season as well. We played 38 games, won 26, drew 8, lost 4. We scored 78, we conceded 37, goal difference of plus 41, and 86 points on the board. When we look at the past positions then, we've basically been in the top 2 the majority of the way through, yes. We dropped down into 3rd on game day 18. We were mincing about around the top from game day 31 and we ended up finishing there. So finally, with the money that we spent over these 5 seasons, it was about time that we won the league. It would have been seen by many as a failure. I have risked the financial stability of the clubs on a couple of occasions, especially early doors. Yes, we got that £100 million from Grealish, but I've still been spending a hell of a lot of money every season. So to finally win the league is massive. How did we do in the rest of the competitions? So Pedro was actually the top goal scorer for Villa. Was he the top goal scorer in the Premier League? Though he was 32 goals this season. So we'll talk about Pedro a bit more. But that £70 million has been justified. In the Champions League, we were knocked out in the quarter-final by Liverpool. You know, we didn't dominate Europe, but we did win the league. I'm going to keep saying we won the league. So yeah, our failure in the Champions League doesn't really matter. English FA Cup, we were knocked out in the 3rd round by Fulham. That is a catastrophe by anyone's standards. And we won the Carabao Cup, so we've now won the Carabao Cup 3 times on the bounce. And Pedro was the top goal scorer for Villa there. Was he also the top goal scorer in that competition? He was. 5 goals there for him as well. Finances wise then, so we've ended the rebuild with a transfer budget of £117 million. We're 400k under the wage budget. We've got 2.9 million to spend, and we've got £183 million in our overall balance. So we're in a very good place. You know, we've left the club, I think we had 147 million the day that I took over, and we've left it with 117 million in the transfer budget. So that is a decent place to be. Dynamics wise then, as I leave, the team cohesion is very good, club atmosphere is good, and managerial support is very good as well. I've got players that are unhappy, more to do with contracts. We've got a couple of players for better playing time. Arten Lucas wants better playing time, and so does Tyrone Mings. But Tyrone Mings has got to be cracking on now. He's 33-year-old. Still very good there though. Stars don't say that though. And then finally, when we look at the player stats, top goal scorer is Pedro with 42 goals. Absolute scenes from Pedro. Like I say, 70 million well spent in the grand scheme of things. I was a little bit worried as we tried to solve that Callum Wilson conundrum. But he played 34 times, scored 32 goals in the Premier League. 50 games in all competitions, 42 goals is not a bad place to be. Pedro then had the highest average rating of 7.22. Jack Grealish with 15 assists is massive. Best pass completion was in AIO with 96. And most player of the match awards was Pedro with 9. Team stats wise, we scored 78 goals, which was the third best. We conceded 37 goals, which is the fifth best. 59 yellow cards and 2 red cards, which was the fourth worst. But before we go, I want to have a look at how Callum Wilson got on this season. So he had 5 starts, scored 3 goals. So we proper wrote him off this season. You know, he carried us for 4 seasons. And I feel like we've done him a bit dirty on that final season, only getting 5 starts. But Pedro, like I say, £70 million, he's justified his start. And then finally looking at the milestones, so I took over in 2021. It took us a couple of seasons before we won anything, but we won the Europa League 2 and the Carabao Cup in 2024. In 2025 we won the Carabao Cup, and this season we've won the Premier League and the Carabao Cup again. So we got some domestic silverware. That was a big thing. I wanted a cup win at least, and we've done that in the first 3 seasons. And then the final 2 seasons after that, we've got silverware in each of them. So overall, I'd say this rebuild's a success. We've left them financially stable. Squad harmony is decent. They've got good depth in the squad, and we've put some trophies in the cabinet. So winner, winner, chicken dinner for me. So that is it then, guys. Like I said at the start of the episode, if you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. It means a lot as we continue to build. And if you are a regular subscriber to the channel, thank you very much for your support. And finally, if there's any other club that you'd like to see me rebuild, please leave it in the comments. But once again, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. Stay safe, and I'll catch you later. Ta-ra.